This video is basically my personal coding journey. As you might see, if you look on YouTube and all these videos, you will always notice that all those videos are basically perfect. However, the truth is it's not perfect because we make so many mistakes in there, and probably it will be edited out or it will be pre-made in advance first, and then you will just see the perfect version, which is fine if you want to learn quick. However, now I want to show you, and this is basically for my personal use, is to learn how to code. If you want to learn about JavaScript, what they're saying is you can watch a lot of videos and copy their code, but the real learning happens by solving the issue or solving the problem. What is JavaScript? Well, JavaScript, or programming by default, is solving a problem. So imagine here, I'm going to make a very small tool here, and I have no idea, I don't have any codes ready, so we're just going to work on it. And I have some, if you've seen many of my videos, I've covered many of the basic things, so the basic knowledge we have. But now is the question, can you combine basic knowledge with into a real functional tool? So let's start. So what we're going to do here is, you can see this is a basic Bootstrap template here, and here we have our HTML file with some Bootstrap, and in this card we start to work. And one of the things I'm working on currently is a POS system. And in a POS system, you have like a option to put in, it's almost like a calculator, except you have some other options as well in this calculator. Basically, it is the following. You can select, instead of putting the number in, let's say someone pays you with a $10 bill, you can put in 10, then minus whatever the price is. Or you can just select a button, which looks like a $10 bill. When you click on that, you will get 10 immediately. And this is very efficient. So for example, if someone pays you with $30, but in $3 bills, you can basically press 3 times the $10 bill and it will calculate up to $30. And that's what we're going to make. We're going to make a very small tool, and all these small tools together will eventually become a big tool. And let's start. I'm going to work from scratch, so I have no idea how we're going to do it. So that means that I will be Googling as well, searching for resources online to find the answer. So let's start with the basics. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in here an input. And once I have an input here, I will put in here some buttons. And these buttons will indicate $10, $20, $50, $100. Those are the bills that we're going to use. Alright, so we're going to make here an input. So we say here input type equals text. And we are going to use text for now. I'm going to check if we should use numbers, yes or no. I don't like numbers so much because you have the spinner. Although you can hide the spinner effect in Java, in CSS. But for now, let's keep it on this. So input, and then we say here class, and then we're going to use the class form, control form. If I'm not mistaken, it's control form, or is it form control, one or the other. Alright, and then let's save this. Let's see what we have here. Alright, so what I will do here, this is probably form control. Let's do that one, and then copy this, put it here, and we make it large. Save this. Alright, that's correct. So this is what I want, but if you can see here, when I type in here, I want this to move to the right. So in here, this is a small Bootstrap or small CSS part. This is text, and remember, I'm using Bootstrap 5.0, which is in beta. It uses end instead of right, which is clever because if you have the R2L design, in that case, the right would be the opposite of right, as you understand. So ending point makes sense more because it's the end, depending on how your writing system of the language is. So in Arabic, it would be the exactly opposite. It was a nice and a clever adjustment in the wordplay. All right, so we've got this now. Let's refresh this. Did I save this? Refresh, and then I put in here. Oh, did I save this? And then refresh. And then I say here. All right, you can see here. Nice. There we are. We've got everything what we need here. Now we're going to put in here buttons. To do this, we're going to create class, and in here simple buttons. The focus here, and this is what many people also say, if you want to learn JavaScript, the focus is not to learn too much, or not to focus too much on design, although design is very appealing, but focus more on the functionality of the site based on your JavaScript, because you're practicing JavaScript. Although if you practice both, you can do both. So right now here I'm going to use very basic stuff, and we can make it nice as well. There's so many nice things I've seen, although not necessary. So then here we say div class column, and this column will create a button. Yes, so we say here button, and then here we're going to give it a class, and then we're done. Class for the button will be btn, and then we'll make this, let's say, btn dark. All right, so we have this, and then to make sure that this is consistent of the full width of the column. All right, so we've got all of this. Maybe I can just put them all together in one line. That saves some space and it's easier to follow, I hope. All right, there we are. So now what we have is here 1 2 3 4. So let's see here, this will be $10 bill, $20 bill, $50 bill, and $100. We can put in here a dollar symbol, and you can do, of course, any other symbol if you are in a different country, bitcoins, whatever, euro, Asian money, Japanese yen, whatever you want. There we are. All right, so we've got these, and of course, depending on the domination of your bill, you will put in here, of course. All right, so we have 10, and I'm sure that there's a 5 and 1, but who cares? So once we click on this, we want to see here 10. So that's what we're going to do now. So what we're going to do here is, and there's some ways to do it, and we're going to use, and here, let me be clear here, I will not always use really the correct way in the sense of it should be this or should be that, and the reason why is I'm trying to practice as well. The goal of practicing is doing it as many times as possible, and after that you can refactoring. And what's refactoring? Refactor is basically check your code and see if you can fine-tune it. You first create a testing beta, and once your testing beta works, then you can fine-tune and polish it. Don't polish it while you're doing your testing, and the reason why is if you have nothing functioning, who cares if it looks nice or not, or who cares about the polished codes? Of course, learning how to do codes properly is a benefit, of course, but you can always polish. Polishing is a step after you completed the project. Your goal should be to complete the project as fast as possible. Once you have a working code, from there on you can play around and continue. So let's start here. Alright, so what we're going to do here now, so we have here these, and then we're going to put in here a onClick. Yeah, so as you can see here, this is a bit of what we call obtrusive JavaScript, meaning that this JavaScript is directly inserted into HTML. It's not always a good way, but we can fine-tune later on. So we say here, what happens if we click here, we want to trigger a function, and this function will be, well, what is the function exactly? Or what are we going to do? When we click on this, we should show here in the calculator the amount. So basically, this would be the display screen or the calculator screen. So let's say this is a display screen. So we're going to calculate in the display screen. So that would be the function is a calculate display screen. All right. So we have this. So we know that this is related to calculating. So calculate display screen. So here we have a function, and this function is called calculate display screen. That's correct. So calculate display screen. Sorry, I'm out of breath almost. There we are. So now what we're going to do here is basically this. The moment we click, we should insert something in the screen here. So we say here now, to give the screen, so we need to do that by giving an ID. And then we say here, if that is calculate display screen, so we can give the name or the ID a display screen. Alright, that's the ID. So then we can say here, document dot get element by ID. And what is our ID? Well, the display screen. That's it. Alright, so what we're going to do with this here equals, yes, we can say here, and this will not be 100% correct, but it is fair for now, equals 10. Or sorry, no. What we're going to do is the following. You can see here, we're going to put in here the number, the value. We say here is 10. Alright? So we say here, domination, or dominator, whatever it is. Let's say here num, that's probably better. equals num. Alright, what happened now is, if we click on that, you will see that it will adjust to this value here. Let's refresh, click on that, and alright, something's not working. Let's see if we have any code here. Invalid left hand side assignment. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. Alright, so what did we forget here? Well, basically this. We can say here, value, that's the one we need. We can value equals that. Let's try again. Alright, so this works, but you can see if you click on it, it doesn't keep on going up. And that's what we want to have eventually. However, we have a working function here. At the moment we click on this, it shows 10. So what we can do now is we do the same for the button, 20. And then here, 50. And then here, finally, 100. Let's save this. Refresh and then say this, 20, 50, 100. Alright, so we're getting very close here. So let me give me a sip of coffee. Alright, so what we're going to do now is the next part here is basically this. We have this here now, and you can see we can still adjust this. We don't want to adjust this. First of all, let's disable this part here. We will say here disable in the input. You can see here input, and then this disable. Alright, save this. Alright, now it's disabled, but if we press here, this still works. Means that we cannot click on here and type anything, but we can only force it by clicking. And this is nice because now we're working basically on a touchscreen style as well. Alright, so we've got this. We are in here, we have already the first function. And you can see this function is repeating multiple times here, and that's really nice. Alright, so what are we going to do now? So we have here, but we notice that this is overriding it. So what if someone paid, for example, $70? We're not able to put it in here, right? So we say 20 plus 50, 70. It doesn't work here. So why or what can we do? Well, basically we can do the following. We can change this. What we want to do here is not only give here the value equals that, no. We can do another thing as well. First of all, let's put in here the value here should be 0. Default value is 0. Alright, so let's refresh here. You can see now it's 0, and the moment we press on this is 10. And I realized we should have a button here to clear out the data, so let's do that button as well. So let's say one button here, and this button is the C button, or the cancel, or the clear out button, and I'm going to give this a danger color, meaning red. So this would be a different thing. So calculate, and this would be not screen, this would be reset display screen. And the reason why we call it reset, well, simply for we're resetting the value. So how we're going to do that? We're going to make a new function, and we say here reset. Reset. And the reset has no num, or no value here, because the reset will be equals 0. Alright? So that would mean that the moment we click on this, the display screen will have a value of 0. Let's save this. Refresh here. Alright, we've got one. And now let's put in 100. And then we say C. Alright. What happened here? It doesn't work. And because it doesn't work, we have to figure out here what are we missing here exactly. We'll say here function reset display. Did I have the right function? Yes, you can see here. The function name was correct, but I forgot to put in the parentheses. So save this. As you can see, how many mistakes I keep on making here. However, this is the nice thing with programming. You're basically like a snake. And what I mean by that is a snake goes left and right. Every time it has an obstacle, imagine there's a stone between there. It goes around the stone, and etc. etc. It keeps on going to its destination. And that's basically what we're doing here. We're making mistakes. We hit a stone. Alright, we have to go to the left or the right. Figure it out. So let's click here, and now, bam, there you are. Works beautifully. Alright, so now this works. So what we can do now is the following. We can add up here now the next one, which is this here. We have to look here at the num value. So what we really want is not num, but we want to do num plus the existing value of this. Yeah, so if you understand, basically if we click on it, when we click on this, and then we click one more time, we want to do, so let me explain one more time. Now it's 0, right? So 0 plus 10. that's how we want to do. We want to do basically plus 10 here, plus 10 on the existing value here. So if this would be 10, we click on here, this should be 20. So what we are going to do is we're going to extract every time the existing value here. So let's see here. So we say this plus num. All right. So we're going to save this and let's see here. And then if you do this, all right. So now you see what's going on here. So wait a minute, what's going on here? And the reason what's going on here is simply this. It sees it as a string because it is a string, right? These are numbers, which is fine. But this here, input type text, is basically a string. By default, every type here has like a string type. And the only reason why you put in numbers here is to make sure that if you have a cell phone screen or smartphone screen, when you click on it, the code here understands to show if it should be ABC text, a keyboard text, or a number text, like a phone dial button style. That's basically why it works like that. So that's the only reason why we're showing. So it's always in a string format. So what we can do here is basically two things. We can convert this, and maybe I realize here you can see now we can refactor this already. I see here we have like a duplication of this, which doesn't make sense. So we can say here, we say a constant. I mean, this constant will be display screen equals that. All right, and then we have, well, maybe you can remove the value. I want to maintain the display screen ID only. So we get the document.getElement by ID, right? So we get this, so we can, so this is basically that. So that would mean that this is redundant data. Here we are. That shortens it, and now you can see here we have a double. Let's put it in here. So that cuts a bit of our codes. And you can see here, we can probably do this here as well, but there will be one thing that I give you fair warning. It will not work right now because it is in this block here. So this is a block scope. A constant is a block scope. Let's cut this away right now. Put it in here. As you can see, you will learn as well step by step, and you also, your existing knowledge will be useful. All right. Save this. Put it in here. All right, so it doesn't work yet. And the reason why it doesn't work yet is we need to convert this. Are we going to convert this into a number or integer or a string? Oh, sorry, this is a string, so we need to convert this. There's another function, and I also discussed this in one of my videos. It's called the evolve function. The evolve function is basically analyzing if an existing situation here is in reality a number. So this is the evolve basically means evaluate. It will evaluate if this is really text. This string here is a text, or might this be a formula? Like in our case, 0. This is a string of 0 plus string 10, but evolve might see this as a formula, which is 0 plus 10 equals 10. All right, let's save this. Refresh and let's test now. All right, we get here something. For some reason, we get 8. This is quite interesting. So let's double check here what's going on here and why it doesn't work as expected. So we have this num here. Why did it become 8? That will be a good question as well. I'm going to check that. Let's refresh here. So it evolves. So let me check here what this does, because this doesn't make any sense. It should not be 8. What we can do here is the following. I'm going to put in here, and we say here console.log. We just put in this data in here. And what we're going to do then is basically analyze what is the current situation here. So save this. Refresh, open up developer tab, press in this, get 8. This is 8 and 10. And for some reason it shows 10. And it says 8, 10, 10. Alright, that does not make any sense at all. So let's see if I have a mistake maybe here. Value 0. And this is also value equals 0. So what's going on here? I cannot explain this yet. So we're going to check here. What we can do here is maybe convert this into an integer. And we can say here integer int. If I'm not mistaken, this should be it. I have to check int for integer Let's see. Oh, this is redundant. All right. Then we do this. All right, int is not defined. All right. So let's look here. All right, we go here, JavaScript in string to int. And I do like the parse int, of course. That's it. You have to parse it to int, of course. So that's the one. Yeah. So your parse int function function parses a string into a string and returns it into an integer. And if you don't want the int, but you want, instead of parse int, you want a parse float, makes more sense. So we're going to check there. And we're going to adjust this because int, if I'm not mistaken, this is probably a PHP function. All right, save this. Let's go back here. Go back to our calculator. There. All right, as you can see now, it starts to work exactly as expected. So if you have 10, this, all right. So now we have these. Let's see what we are missing more. First of all, we're going to remove the console here. If I save this and I will do reset, you can see here we should have some space between here. This works here, but if we have like a mobile version like this, you can see it doesn't look nice at all. All right. So what we're going to do here is a little bit of adjustments. At least here we will say margin bottom 3. So it's like 10 pixels between the space there between, so that's fine. Save this and refresh. Alright, so once we have this and we do it like this, you can see we get this here, although it doesn't look that nice. We probably can force these things more. What we can do here is this offset, that's fine. Probably this could be column. This is column 8 or column 6, or MD6, and else it is column 8. Making it more space, or column 10, making it more space if we are on a mobile phone. So we say here offset 1. Alright, so let's check here what happened. As you can see now it starts to work nice, although I don't like this here, but we can do this later on. We can force it into a column 3, forcing these all besides each other. -3, -3, and that one will be there. Alright, then maybe that looks better. We'll have to do, we can do here anything you want. However, now we've got these here. So now we have, this is a small item here, you can see. And maybe you want to have the float digits in here, we can put in here, we can put in the floating digits. Alright, apparently it doesn't work at all because it doesn't matter. So we can put in here, maybe we can put in here value .00, let's see. Alright then. So it doesn't really work, but that is fine for now. Let's see what are we missing here. This is the number, alright, parse int. Oh, alright. I'm using parse int, sorry, I should be using parse float. That's why it is removing it. Save this, do it again. Oh, do you have that then? No. For some reason it doesn't want to respond to parse float. Let's see here, number. Here we say num parse float. Alright, so it doesn't work, but that's fine, we'll have to figure out that later on. Alright, so if I do 10 and then refresh, it just keeps it like this. Fair enough. We can do here, maybe this we have to convert to a parse float to make sure that this is point. Let's see, nothing at all. Alright, so that's fine as well. In this case it doesn't matter too much, although it would be better, especially if you are like in the US or you use currency where cents are very important as well. If you are in a different country where like Japanese yen, they don't use any cents at all. You have just solid numbers, integers, which would be fine. So now we have this here. And I think we're almost done here. Is there anything else that we can adjust? Well, what we can do is we can try to put in some new digits in here, very consistent, but then in this case, we put in the smaller values. So let's put in here some smaller values, and these values are 1, 2, 5, and maybe we can put in here, I guess you should have here 0.25, a quarter. There, 1, 2, 5. All right, and this will be 0.25. This will be 1. This will be 2, and this will be 5. All right. Now we have more, and then if we press on this, you can see now you get a quick calculator. So if someone pays you with two $20 bills, you can just type and click this twice, and there you are. This will save you a lot of time. As you can see, if someone pays you $2.50, you can press this, and there you are. Instead of typing it, imagine you have to have the one, you have to move your mouse. This will be faster as well for people. All right. So this is basically a very tiny mini course, and it took some time to figure out. And you can see we also had to figure out parse float. I should remember that, but of course you can see here I make a mistake in here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was just pure understanding to learn. No one is perfect in all these things, and if you always look at those different YouTube videos, you might be intimidated because you will realize that some of these people are extreme professional, and the reason why they're professional, simply they practice a lot by creating tools. And we're just creating all kinds of tools, and then next time we'll try to create a calculator, which is far more challenging to do, or some other items like a simple to-do list. All right, so that's it for today. So if you like these kind of videos, subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions or you're struggling with your design, put your question in the comment section below.